And so moving on, you said you disagreed with the host. What you disagreed with the host was when they were kind of mocking or calling this girl a dictator in her marriage for finding her husband through rotational dating. You do believe rotational dating is good for women. So rotational dating means what exactly?
So that I've seen people on TikTok completely not use that term correctly and make it like they ended up just like hoeing around. But in this specific episode, you had someone who rotationally dated, which meant that she would date, she wouldn't kiss, wouldn't touch, wouldn't even hold their hand, and she would just get to know them through conversation, look at their values, and then whoever was the best for her in her eyes in her rotation, she would marry, or the person that like proposed. I don't know what her standards were, but it's very similar to how women used to kind of date, nothing intimate physically, just see what's out there. And
So you're saying a woman should, for example, be dating 5 men at the same time and pick the best one?
Talking to them, if that's what we consider, because some people don't consider that dating. Talking to them, just talking, yes. If you cross the line and you turn into something physical, that's where it's wrong. If you're being physical with 5 people at the same time, that's wrong. But if you're talking to them, just talking to them, that's...
So what about just going on dates but nothing physical happens?
That's good.
That's good?
Yeah.
So for example, I really like this girl and I take her on a date, and then she goes on a date with another guy immediately after my date with her. Totally cool? No problems?
Yeah, if she's open about it, and
She's open? She tells me this?
Yeah, I mean, most likely
Okay.
most likely people who are going on dates aren't loyal. I mean, they're on that date for reasons because they're single and they want to get to know people. So they're getting to know people multiple times. They're not being loyal to anyone or committed to anyone. And most likely people aren't going to do 2 dates on the same day. But if
What
it
if they
had
did?
to, then sure. I mean,
No problem.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose a woman could do that.
Yeah.
She could do that. From the guy's perspective, though, which you seem to often ignore.
No, I'm willing to. Trust me.
Right. So at least in my book, so even if I'm on a first date with a girl and she tells me, by the way, I have a date with a guy after I hang out with you, I've instantly lost all interest. I don't care how attractive she is. I don't care how cool she is.
Well,
she's precluded from me ever taking her seriously.
if she states it in that way, like, I'm going on a date after you, like,
It doesn't, no. She could say it in the most congenial, polite way possible. I would still just disregard her.
What if she told you, I'm going, because on the first date, you're getting to know each other and you're trying to see each other's values. You get to know her values and you ask her, are you traditional? And how do you date? Like, and it comes up that, well, I'm traditional. I'm a virgin. I don't sleep around. I don't touch. I don't kiss. I don't do any of that. She's never kissed someone. And she's like, and I'm dating around and I'm a virgin. I'm just waiting till marriage. And I'm
Shouldn't ask me that.
Sorry?
Go ahead. Continue.
And she goes on she lets you know that she's going on a second date because of how picky she is on who she's going to lose her virginity to.
Okay, but so we have 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
So let's just say, like, why do you need to go on 5 dates in a week? Like, even if I grant you as a woman, like, do you think going on 1 date a week is like, that's too little? That would be 52 first dates in a year.
I mean,
are you that pressed when it comes to your dating life that you got to be dating like 5 dudes at the same time? Like 52 first dates in a year is a fuck ton of people.
I wouldn't argue for like date, and I'm not arguing like date, like talk to people, have 5 dates in a week.
That's what rotational dating is, isn't it?
No, rotational dating, like the woman that you brought on, is when you're talking to people. You don't have to have 5 dates with them in the same week. It means you're talking to them. So, like,
Yeah, I wouldn't be interested in that girl.
I mean, that's you.
I mean,
that's
at
kind
least
of-
look, maybe my standards are a little crazy.
That's kind of the point of rotational dating, is to eliminate who works for you and who doesn't. And as you guys understand, the dating pool value is the most women have the most when they're young, which is why they don't have time to waste. Their time is precious, and they need to hurry up. If they're looking to marry and they want to lose their virginity to someone special,
Hey,
they
it might
do not have
look,
time
it
to
might
play around.
save you time and it might work for you. I'm just saying that at least my standard would be if we go on a first date and if you're like going on a date later that night, I would feel kind of weird about it. But I'll say this: if I go on a first date with the girl and if she wants a second date with me and there's other dudes in the picture, I'm not interested.
I mean, I'm arguing that there's nothing wrong with rotational dating, and most likely someone that's doing rotational dating.
You can look, as a girl, you can do it. I'm just saying, I think you have the potential there to lose a guy who you would otherwise like. And secondly, I'm actually advising men, if you're interested in something serious as a guy, if you go on a first date with a girl, she wants a second date, and she's still dating other dudes, I think it's a wrap. I think it has to be a wrap.
Yeah.
I mean, you keep-
Andrew
I don't know.
disagrees?
Yeah, I do. I mean, she's right. Right. So I'm trying to think of it from her perspective, from a woman's perspective here, and even from a man's perspective. If the idea is that chastity and virginity is virtuous and it's important, and you have knowledge that this woman is willing to marry you while she's young, knowing that that is a thing of value, and if she dates, she's not having physical intimacy with any men, I don't actually see why that would be problematic.
What do you mean?
Well, how would it actually be problematic if let's say a woman's dating 5 different guys, but is physically intimate with none of them and is a chaste virgin? Isn't that, like, if you had a daughter, if you were going to advise her in dating and you wanted her to get the best spouse possible, wouldn't you advise her to have a physical relationship with none, but to date many?
Well, I mean, I would say that in terms of her sexual attention, you're saying she's not having sex with anybody.
Yeah.
That's off the table. Her romantic interest is divided. So,
Well,
in the same way that you could cheat on a partner,
Like you're an option.
you could cheat on a partner without having sex with somebody else. For me, and look, people have different timelines as to what's acceptable when, what's not acceptable.
Yeah.
I would just think, like, even if she goes on this, if I go on a first date with a girl, and she tells me, I have another date planned immediately after, some people might not have an issue with that. I just feel like that's just kind of generally disrespectful. She can do it. That's just how I would feel.
Well, I
and
just
think
don't,
it would be disrespectful.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm trying to think of how you have a win condition. So what's the win condition in dating? So I think the win condition for most young men is, I want a woman with a really low body count, virgin preferably. But if I'm going to get this valuable thing, which is a virgin, going to bear my children, they have X amount of years, like she points out. We have very few years that are fertile to give you lots of children.
Sure.
If they're starting at 22, 23, that's good, right? 26, 27, not so great. So if we're talking about a limited window between 18, 24, what do you got, 6 years? It seems like if they were out dating multiple men, but having a physical relationship with none of them, that would broaden their options to the point where they could try to select for that best partner.
Right.
It seems like it's a win condition for both.
Well, so I guess let me ask you this. So you're saying this woman's a virgin. She's
Yep.
waiting until marriage. Now, in this scenario, let's say she goes on just one date a week, so that this scenario of, and like if she likes the guy, she'll continue seeing him and she won't date other men.
Right.
She won't go on dates with other
Right.
men. But you're saying, well, if she has the opportunity to kind of be considering multiple suitors, not sex, just going on
suitors,
dates,
yeah.
multiple suitors, say
Yeah.
5 suitors at the same time-ish, so within a week or two period, she's gone on 5 dates with these different men, and she's still kind of considering all of them. So she's going to continue going on second dates. I mean, I would think that a woman who's a virgin, who's not immediately jumping into bed, who's desirous of marriage, if there's 52 weeks and she starts dating at 18, there's 52 weeks in a year, what would actually be wrong with her with just going on one date per week? That would be 52 first dates in a year. That's a lot of first dates. And so if we expand
Sure.
that out.
Well, I mean, we can say that, right? But let's say it's every 3 days. She's got the gold bar. If she's got the gold bar, everybody wants the gold bar. She's got it. And so if she does, and it's that valuable, and everybody else is wasting their gold bar, so all women are all given this gold bar that all the men desire, and they just like give it to them for free. So one of them looks at it and says, "Wait a second, this is really fucking valuable.
Yeah.
I can get whatever I want with this." Why the fuck would you discourage them, right? At that point, it seems like they did everything right.
The very same women that we're complaining about are the women that will give you the time for free just for you. They will stop talking to other guys and then just date you easily. Those are the women that men say are ran through. A lot of the times are women that have been in multiple relationships because they have gone on the first date, liked the guy, decided to jump into a committed relationship, then broke up, it didn't work out because that was the only option they saw. Then they jumped into another relationship and then continued to sleep with them.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that if you're dating multiple suitors and you're not sleeping with them, I don't see how the opposite sex could have an issue with that. If they say, "Well, I just want pure exclusivity with you on the first date,"
I think that's good.
And
on the first date,
Not like on the first date, but like if you really like me personally, like I went on a date last week and I really love vibe with this
yeah,
person.
but your gold bar is gone, right?
Huh?
Your gold bar was already given away for free, right?
Yeah.
So let us assume virginity is a golden bar that when you're born.
But half this generation, no one's a virgin
Yeah,
anymore.
okay.
talking
Just
about-
because half of the people give away their gold bar.
95%.
It's a lot more than
Let's
that.
say
It's like
okay. Let's say
95%.
Let's say
A lot of people.
99.9% give away. In fact, that's the best example.
Okay.
Let's say 99% give away the gold bar. Doesn't that make the remaining 1% of gold bars even more valuable?
Exactly, but a guy, you think that a guy that wants a girl that's a gold bar also has his gold bar?
but it doesn't.
No. Oh, no. Hang on. Back up. Who cares?
But it does.
If the man who has his gold bar and doesn't have his gold bar, and by the way, for men it's not a gold bar. For women, it's a gold bar.
Okay, no.
So it's
Yeah.
a different standard, so it's just
Yes.
not fair.
Well, no. Wait. Fair. Wait a second. Who the
It's
hell?
like-
who
no,
the hell
I'm
said?
saying-
Who the hell
Well,
said
because you
fair?
said that women, if you're a virgin, it's a gold bar, but if
Men,
you're a guy, it's
because-
okay not to
listen,
be a virgin.
The thing,
That's my man.
here's what
I'm
gives
stick
things
beside
value.
him.
What gives things value? What gives the money in your pocket value? What gives that camera value? What gives this screen value? Is the fact that people desire it. As long as women desire men who don't have a gold bar, men aren't ever going to keep a gold bar because women don't fucking want a gold bar. The distinction is that men do. And so that's what makes it valuable.
But men
I-
want a gold bar to satisfy their
There's-
ego.
So,
Right.
I would say there's like a
hang on. So what? Do they want it?
Yeah.
Okay, then if they want it, it's valuable, right?
Yeah.
Then if it's valuable and you gave this really valuable thing away for free and the chick next to you isn't, she's like, nah, that was really dumb.
Nope.
You had $1 million gold bar and you just gave it to this fucking asshole?
Okay, what if like the guy that wants the gold bar, he gets the gold bar, he has her, everything good to go, but then he's like, oh, she's not a gold bar anymore, let me go find another one.
That's why you wait till marriage.
But what if you
Because
were
then
married?
it's
What if you
really
weren't
hard,
married?
right?
Well,
Then
what
it's
if,
really
what
hard
if you
to
wait till marriage and you
disassociate.
do it at the first night and you're like, oh damn, I don't like this bar.
Do you think so? Let me ask you. That's hey. Let's engage with the argument. Okay. Do you think that men who marry virgins on their wedding night are more likely or less likely to get divorced?
More.
Guess what? This is gonna blow your mind.
I'm wrong.
Way less likely. Why would you say that is?
Because I'm like, well damn, like
I feel like there's more a
I
relationship
waited this
that's valuable than
I waited
virginity,
this long,
though.
might as well stay.
It's because chastity is directly linked with religion. And so the more religious people are, the more they tend to stay chaste. And the thing that keeps their marriage together, those are the men who they value virtue.
What if they're not religious?
If they're not religious, they still value virtue. And even in those
Is it
relationships.
scientifically tested?
Yes, even in, you don't even have to scientifically test it. You can use statistics.
True.
So even in, I mean, that is science, but it's not hard science.
Wait,
But using statistics, even virgin women who get married to non-virgin men who are secularist still end up staying married longer.
But they could like still stay married. But what about is a man cheating?
That's a different.
wait, hold on.
That's a whole different.
Do you think that a man cheating would be a requisite which would lead to divorce?
Yes.
Well, then they must cheat less, right?
You don't know that.
Yes, we do know that because we have the statistics on the reason given for divorce.
But everybody gets divorced for different reasons.
Yes, but they give a
there's-
top 4 reasons.
Okay.
And infidelity is low on the list. It's usually just partner dissatisfaction. Interestingly enough, men who end up with virgins tend to have the least amount of partner dissatisfaction. What a shock.
Like sexually, like in the like when they're having sex.
Yeah, I don't know where this idea comes from that like, and you should know this because of the industry you're in, but all the parts basically work the same way with everybody. They don't really work very, very differently between different people. Every man's penis is essentially designed for every woman's vagina and vice versa. The idea of sexual compatibility is not really a thing.
I
Most
think it
people,
is.
most people historically, right? They got married without ever having sex. And they stayed married their whole lives, and most of them had good sex lives because we're designed to have sex with each other. We're designed that way.
You can sense the tension too without doing it, like the chemistry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really super attracted to you until I got you naked and had sex with you, said no guy
There's-
ever in
yeah, there's
history.
no-
Yeah, yeah, literally. That could be possible. I could be super attracted to a guy. I think he's super, like, cute, but he's just, like, not, like, I just don't vibe with him,
To
sexually.
Yeah,
Yes,
what are
is
you
69.
comparing it to, though, if he's your only partner?
Right. So
That's-
that's, why
that's
they would
also-
stay married
Past.
longer because they have nothing to
Good.
be jealous
That's
of.
a
This
good
is
thing.
bad. Why?
That's
It's
a
not
good
bad.
thing.
Well, I mean, it's like if there's better out there, like
No,
sexually.
there's- but that's
Oh,
not
so
Like,
they
she
should all
doesn't- I
they should
think-
all be a bunch of skanks because they
No,
could
no,
find
no.
Mr. Right
no,
penis?
No,
No.
not at all. What I was arguing is that I feel like or at least from my perspective, the reason why a man would want a virgin is because the virgin doesn't have anything to compare it to, so there's no competition.
Oh,
It's
so
like,
not just
insecure.
that.
it's
So-
just like
so-
they only had one boyfriend.
So
you
what
know?
he should do, so then let's
For-
use the reverse of this, okay? So would you advise a man then to go to his virgin soon-to-be wife and say, honey, you should go out and fuck at least 10 guys before we get married so you know that I'm the right one?
No, but
Then what would
but
you advise
were
him to
bringing
do?
Up marriage lasting longer, and I feel like it's just not relevant to the factors of a marriage lasting longer just because she's only had one sexual partner.
Why would that not be
Because
relevant?
I don't think it's relevant because there's like I feel like I've heard from women that were married or were in a committed relationship with one guy that like they weren't sexually satisfied, but they stayed with them anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like
darn.
I feel like
They
I mean,
they were with the person that they loved and they weren't sexually satisfied, so they got rid of their
Well,
heated.
just
so
'cause
wait,
you
so
get
they
married
set
doesn't mean
aside
you love 'em.
So they set aside their hedonism in order to obtain higher value. Those sons of bitches. You realize that hedonism and self-pleasure is not the purpose of life. And if you get married to somebody, make a commitment to them, why would it be a problem for you to keep a commitment because you feel like you're unsatisfied in a single area of life?
right, and that's the complicated part. That's why for me, at least me personally, like I would never marry someone that I didn't know I had sexual chemistry with, you know what I mean? Like that's why I do think you can have sex before marriage
but-
because I feel like sexual chemistry is very important in the relationship.
I don't
Now,
feel like
as far as
sexual chemistry
marriage,
is hard between people.
I don't.
You
I
pretty
don't
girl,
agree.
you handsome guy, they have
can
it mostly
feel-
I
works
don't
out.
agree because
You don't
I mean,
agree?
right?
I can imagine it.
You can feel the tension.
Because
for
I've
sure.
liked sex better with this person, but maybe not with this guy, But it's like,
Yeah, but this is because you're making a comparison between many guys. Assume for a second that you had what you consider right this second to be mediocre sex, but you were a virgin, right? And to you, it was the best feeling thing on planet Earth. Absent the compare.
Warlord 69 you donated $69. Ladies, understand, once you are on the internet it's lights camera action. You are never truly valuable once you've given up the controls to your brain. The joke in your reality.
What does that mean?
Thank you, Warlord.
He's just saying that once you put nudes of yourself out, it's forever.
Right.
Or you have sex with guys on camera, it's forever, which is
Of
true.
course.
But anyway, so back to this. Assuming for a second you were a virgin, you married a man, you had what you would right now consider to be mediocre sex with that man, but it was still the best feeling thing you'd ever had because
There was nothing.
there was
compared
nothing else to compare
Right.
it to. How could you make a reference that, oh, it could be better over here?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I was saying is that I feel like from what I've heard from a lot of women that are divorced, they didn't have the level of sexual chemistry that they wanted.
And had all of those women been fucked by other dudes before their husband?
I don't know.
What would you think?
I mean, I'd like the perspective of a virgin person right now that only had one partner because I don't have that perspective, so I don't know.
Well, what virgins report is that they're highly satisfied in their sexual relationships.
Good
That's
for
what they
them.
report when they're asked.
Good for them.
Okay, let's say it's a virgin and a guy, whatever, they get married and everything, and they're just together for 10 years. What happens if in those 10 years they're just like, oh, I just don't want to be with you anymore?
What
Right.
happens? What happens if you're not a virgin and that happens?
That's why, either or. Because you're saying that people who are virgins last longer in their marriages. So what happens if that's not the case?
What happens with anybody if it's not the case?
No, but I'm directing it specifically to your comment on saying that they last longer if they're a virgin.
I'm explaining to you why it's a nonsensical circular question. So what if I retain my virginity and then have the same outcome as if I didn't retain my virginity?
That's what I'm saying. That's not different.
Yeah, no, it's different. So again, let us assume that we have 9 virgins, 1 non-virgin. Okay? The outcome for the non-virgin, X bad. Okay? Now let's say it's worse than these. The non-virgin, the outcome is worse than the 9. Okay? Now we take 2 of those virgins, who also get married, and they have the same outcome as that non-virgin. Which group is still more likely to have better outcomes?
The virgins.
The virgins. So even if it were true that some virgins have bad outcomes similar to those who are not virgins at marriage, most virgins still have better outcomes than them, right?
Okay, that's if men, like the man that's marrying that woman, cares about their virginity. Their specific
Right.
virginity.
Because
Let's say,
not every man views it as being the gold bar. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
So you remember how you said every there?
yeah.
Right.
And I agree with you. Not every man does.
Right.
But let me counter with this. Do you think that most men, if they could take you, these are your romantic partners, but they could take away every man you've ever fucked before them, would they?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Anything else you guys wanted to add to that?
Gotcha, bitch.
Nick, why you gotta, come on, bro. Why you gotta do?
What about you? Do you think any romantic partner that you have who's a man,
It's a good question.
if they could unfuck you, would they do it?
Like you're saying, but doesn't that
Would
make them
they do
insecure?
it?
But doesn't that make them
Would
insecure?
they do it?
I guess, but
Well, then
Would
the
that-
question
wait, hold
doesn't the
on
question
now.
now seem
Okay,
like
but then
nonsense?
that's an insecure
that's
man.
insecure.
Why is it
that
insecure?
Because you don't want her to have any comparison except you.
What if that's not the reason?
That doesn't make sense.
So what's
Why-
the reason?
wait,
What
wait.
would the
What
reason
was our
be?
Wait,
reason?
wait.
Chances
Wait.
of
I don't know.
those
Have you
STIs?
ever had a traumatic sexual relationship? Like you dated a guy.
Hang on,
and it
hang
was
on.
traumatic.
I'm going to use your logic back. Okay. A man doesn't want a woman because she has 10 kids. Mm-hmm. He's insecure. Right?
But that brings kids
Hang
into
on.
it.
He's insecure or not insecure?
No, because there's 10 children that he would have to be a father
wait
to.
a second. Wait
That's
a second.
not the same as having sex.
Hang on. He's not insecure if she has 10 kids, right? I just want to make sure we
No.
got that answer.
No.
Not insecure? Or he's insecure if he won't date her because she has 10 kids?
I definitely think that he has a spot to be insecure simply because he still would have to deal with the past baby.
Why
daddies.
would that be insecurity, though?
But your question is, would a man be insecure if a lady has 10 kids?
No. My question is, if a man didn't want a lady with 10 kids, does that make him insecure?
No, it just makes him. He just has self-respect and he doesn't feel comfortable being with a woman who has multiple kids with different guys.
So he has a preference.
Self-respect.
Right.
And part of self-respect.
His preference, yeah, that's his preference is to not be with a woman
So
that has
if your
10 kids.
preference is to be with a virgin and not with a woman who has a high body count,
That's not insecurity.
That's perfectly
it's
fine.
not insecurity, right?
It's not.
The women that
Simple.
are sleeping around are
I'm
risking
confused.
having kids. It's kind of almost the same thing. The only difference is the actual part of having the kids. Like the woman with 10 kids with different men, it's kind of the same thing with the woman that sleeps around because she's still risking pregnancy with all of those men, the same way a woman was willing to get pregnant by all those men and have those kids. I think it comes down to that. It's just unattractive that a woman would disrespect herself because respect is attractive. To be willing to risk pregnancy, STIs, and all, and just be willing to be that intimate with someone when they just met them or without certain requirements. It's basic psychology when someone,
Well, not only that, but think about it. Let's insert yourself in a man's shoes for a second. Mm-hmm. On your wedding night, you say, "This really valuable thing, I saved it for you." How good of a feeling would that be for a man?
I know, but we're already married.
But what about a girl
Like-
though?
Okay, we're
But,
not.
like,
we're
wouldn't the
not,
marriage
we're not
stand
adding.
back?
Hang on. Engage with what I'm asking first, and then change the conditionals. That's fair, right? From a man's perspective, let's say you're a man. Tomorrow you wake up and you're a man, okay?
Right.
And a woman on your wedding night says, "I saved my virginity for you because that's how much I love you," right? I'm sorry, would you not be extremely pleased and happy with that outcome?
I mean, she's marrying me. She chose to say yes to the marriage. That would already be enough for me as a man.
Yeah, but, okay. But she kept her virginity and told you those words. "I kept myself chaste to give this to you."
Right, because she felt like I was the right person to give
Right.
it to.
How would you
course,
not, how
but-
would that not make you feel like $1 million as a man?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
That's-
view
I don't know
virginity
isn't
as
an
val-
argument.
No, but I'm saying in my mind, I don't view virginity as valuable.
I'm not asking
you know what I
you.
mean?
I'm not asking you to view it from your perspective. I'm asking you this: assume for a second that I crammed a man's brain into your head, okay, and then your physiology changed tomorrow, and now you're in a man's body, and now suddenly your value structure and the way you think of things change, and in your head you crave women who have a low body count. You marry a woman who's a virgin, and on her wedding night, she says these words to you: "I saved my virginity for you. Nobody else ever got this but you, because that's how much I love you." How could a woman ever give you, the man, a better gift than that?
I mean, I don't know. I think the marriage.
What else could she give that could ever be more valuable than that? What
saying
else?
yes to marriage.
A kid.
A child saying yes to marriage. I feel like that means more than a virginity.
No, I
Yeah,
feel like
but,
if I
but hang on. Anybody who's a man can give you a kid who's fertile, which is most men,
Yeah.
right? You can only give your virginity to one man.
I know who.
Right.
So if that is the case, you saying, "Well, I chose to marry you," right? "And I'm fertile, so I can accept your seed." You can do that with any man.
Correct.
But you can only give your virginity to one. And if you say, "I gave this to you," this one man, he's the only one who's ever going to have that. No other man ever will. How could you give him something more valuable than that? There's nothing else you could ever exchange to him that couldn't be replaced with something else. You couldn't give him a car that he couldn't replace. You couldn't give him a gold bar he couldn't replace. You couldn't give him anything that could not be replaced except that. That's the only thing you could ever give a man that he can't replace.
But how long is that high going to last? Like, oh, I took her virginity. Like I feel great.
Right,
How
so
long
you
is
took
that
the
feeling
virginity
going
of
to
your
last?
wife? Hopefully for life.
I don't know. I
She
feel
gave
know,
you
I
the
just, like,
most
for me-
valuable thing she had ever,
But-
that she'll ever have.
But again, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't see like what's valuable about virginity.
It's not. It's
You know
not
what I mean?
what
Like,
you
I'm not
see.
understanding.
Again,
Right.
what determines value? It's what people
But it's
want.
like that's the
Scarcity.
society view.
Yeah, it's what people want, right?
No, I believe, yeah. But
society-
Well, you know what? Let me ask you. I don't know what gives money value. I don't even know. It's
Scarcity.
nebulous.
Warlord 69